So the perspective comes from this whole term of perception. Okay, so it's all about how you see it. This is what perspective is all about. After at the end of the session, you will understand how to sketch a scenery as you see it, the way you see it. See the world around us, it's very illusory. It's very illusory. We don't really see things as they are. We see it according to our perception. And perspective literally translates that into paper. Consider this. Okay, so you guys can see my drawing paper here. Hold on a moment. Zoom is crashing. It's all right now. It happens sometimes. Okay, so consider this. Which of these is more realistic? A block. Okay, I'm drawing a simple block here. A block. I can. We all know how to draw a simple block. Excuse me, guys. Can you all keep yourself on mute?
Which one?
Which chocolate? Point is, अब तो chocolate दे दो, ये तो पतली गली से निकल पूरी।
See, a simple block here. This is the most basic representation of the block we've learned, right? I can draw it this way, or I can just give it a little sense of depth by just squeezing these ends together. See, just squeezing these ends together. You see this? Okay, so I can squeeze these in. So this is where the whole idea comes. Or consider this, a block. See, notice this. How this is just kind of creating an illusion that it's leading towards something. Or you would have seen streets. Like this, like you can think of, let's say, a small pathway here, and then you would have seen these lampposts and all of this here, right? So all of these are examples of perspectives. So another common example of perspective that you would have seen would have been railway tracks, right? So is there a systematic way into representing all of this? This is what the great artists of the past have researched upon. And thanks to them, with years of their research, we do have a very, very systematic approach, to drawing. And that is exactly what we will be learning. So it's like the whole principle of perspectives, it took several years to evolve, like in fact, centuries, years, forget about years. It took centuries. So it's 200 years plus of wisdom that I am going to be sharing in this next 2 hours. So are you all ready? Yes, yes. Comment in with as excited as if you are ready. All right, 200 plus years of wisdom in just 2 hours. How much time you'll save? Okay, let's understand a little about, let's first understand 1 point perspective. See, perspectives, when you talk about, there are 3 basic modes of perspectives that we're talking about. 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point. 1 point or linear perspective. Okay, 1, 2, 3. what is what is this 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective? I will give you some examples, some live examples of what you would have noticed. First, probably is a street onto which you're looking straight onto it, like this railway track, for instance. Okay, a railway track, for instance, or a street, a lane, a long hall, or a temple thing that you see. So all of this, it's common. What's common to all of this is that you see that this pathway, it's all leading towards something. The images that I've shared, basically, it's all leading you towards something. So you might, for example, you might come across a hall. You might come across a hall like this with a large pillar here and a smaller pillar here. Okay. This is an example of linear perspective. How many more examples can you think of? Street lane, when you're, when you're looking up towards a building, like the inception photo that you shared, when you're looking down onto something, most of what we think of as perspectives, we see is linear perspective. Second, 2 point perspective. 2 point perspective, an example of 2 point perspective would be when you're looking at something from the edge. Okay, a block. Consider a block that you are seeing like this. Or, like you are standing on a street and then you see, you're looking at it from a corner, out of a corner like this. This is 2 point perspective. See, just imagine this to be a multi-story building, right? So anything where you look at it, if you are looking straight onto something, you see 1 point perspective, and you're looking at something from the corner. What you are dealing with is 2 point perspective. Then third, there is a 3 point perspective. So 3 point perspective, two kinds of 3 point perspective basically exist. First is when you are looking up, like really when, imagine you're standing at the corner of a building, a very tall building. Let's say you're seeing a skyscraper. See, the skyscraper is very, 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 very tall. Have you observed this when it is very tall, when you're looking up onto a very tall building? It kind of seems like these edges, they tend to, like merge, like you can hardly see it. Haven't you observed this? Skyscrapers, towers, especially when you're looking up onto something. So just today I was watching a teaser of Rajinikanth's new movie, Annathe 3 year ahead of these, and I was seeing it. And often it reminded me that sometimes when you see a hero walking, you often see like, a towering figure where the head is very small, the leg is large, right? And then the body, like you would have seen. When you're
Also
looking
the
down.
aerial view.
Sorry?
Also the aerial view.
We are getting that. Okay, this is an example of 3-point perspective. Or similarly, when you're looking up, when you're looking down onto something, you're standing up on a terrace or terrace of a very tall building. You're looking down onto smaller elements, or you're like you're on a helicopter flight. You would have come across the cityscapes, like this skyscrapers. You would have seen them like this, right? Buildings like this. Right? So you will see streets going here. You'll see more buildings like that. This is another example of 3-point perspective in action. Okay, this is called, while this is called bird's eye view, this is called, while this is called worm's eye view, this is called a bird's eye view or aerial perspective, is also known as aerial perspective. What we are going to be learning in depth today is 1-point perspective, because this is what we see most often, and this is where the foundation lies. So some basic rules that we talk about with the 1-point perspective is every image that you see. Now let's switch to our drawing screen. Let's switch to our drawing screen here. This is a perfect example of something in linear perspective. The biggest observation that you see in this is that all the lines here, okay? Notice the lines here. Just notice the floor here. See where it is leading. Here, this side is leading, and this side. See? Notice how all of this is leading towards a particular point. All of them are parallel elements. In fact, this is not how these elements are designed. These are not designed in such a way that it becomes narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. It is an illusion. These are all, in fact, parallel elements. If you notice these temple, if you went there and saw it side by side and measured them, you would see that all of them have the same height, same width, and same length. Yet we see it this way. This point where we notice all of them meeting and in fact vanishing is called as, any answers? Anyone knows? Anyone's heard this before?
Vanishing point.
Vanishing point. Okay, this is called the vanishing point. This vanishing point exists on a particular line. So this is an imaginary line. This is an imaginary line, yet it helps us understand the drawing. So this, see, everything you look at it, there is something called as the eye level where you look at it. The eye level is basically the level at which you are seeing a drawing. See, when you are imagining yourself standing here and look at this. Notice how here at you could either see it from here, or you could view this here, or you could just look up, right? You could look anywhere in this 3-dimensional space. What you are seeing here is a point that is frozen. That is frozen in this whole spectrum where you can view. So see, this is where you are viewing it. Right? This is where you're viewing it. This one. That is where you're viewing it. Guys, this one is called the eye level. Okay, the eye level. One thing that we need to understand about this whole vanishing point is that vanishing point always exists on the eye level. One image, as we will see, one frame. So a view could have multiple vanishing points. It would have multiple vanishing points, yet it will have only one eye level. We will explore more of this as we progress towards in the session. For now, understand that every view, so perspective occurs because of the illusion that's formed when you're looking onto something. We only see it in a particular way. It's just the way our eyes see it. We are looking onto something at a particular level. That is what is the answer? What is that? The level on which you're seeing it. Guys, unmute and tell me.
I'm sorry, please come
Eye
again.
level.
That is your eye level. Okay, that is your eye level. On the eye level, depending upon where you are looking, all the elements that are, there are parallel and everything, they tend to recede towards a particular point. This is called your vanishing point. So basically perspective drawing, when you are drawing, it's about understanding where the vanishing point is and deconstructing the drawing. Now let's draw something in perspective and let's see how this works. A simple perspective frame. Let's try it out. Initially, when I thought the perspective lesson, I would give a lot of theoretical in-depth, like I would have a half an hour theory, half an hour to 40 minutes theory session on all of these things. Then I realized that it's kind of futile. At the end of the day, drawing is what matters. What you can draw, what you can bring on the paper is what matters. So I decided to simplify it as much as possible for you. Before I always talk about setting up a frame. It's very important. Guys, the world that you see, it's very, like you can see anywhere. Okay, you can look around and it's a free space where you can choose to view from anywhere. Imagine yourself standing in a spot. This is you. This is you who's standing here, and then you can decide to look anywhere. Right? It's a free world. A photo that you're drawing, a sketch that you're making, it is a frame that is set in this whole wide spectrum. And there is only, at any point in a photo, you're only looking at it, you are looking at it only from one point, right? So first thing before making a drawing in perspective is setting the frame. It's within this frame. We set our drawing. Let's start with a simple block in linear perspective. On this frame is called the picture plane. On this frame, there exists your eye level, basically the level onto which you're looking. Your eye level could be anywhere. Most often, conventionally, when a drawing is made, it is at half of the frame. Most often it is set at half of the frame. The eye level is also called the horizon line. Okay. So most often it is at half the frame, but of course it depends. Let's say you decide to squat down and you look, your eye level will be smaller. If you decide to look up, again, your eye level will be larger. But most often this is where it is. On this, let's say I'm looking straight onto it. I will have a vanishing point here. Now, when I want to make something, the first and most basic understanding about linear perspective is that all the elements that are parallel, they tend to recede towards a vanishing point. That is, let's say I have a couple of pillars here, okay? I have a couple of pillars here by the side. These look like dumbbells. But let's just consider them as pillars for now. Okay. This one here, they are of equal measurement. Yet when I see them, the one in front of me will appear larger. The one much further ahead of me will appear smaller. So that is when I see them in perspective, it will somewhat look like this. Right? The first pillar and the second pillar. Is going to come there. Something like this. Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So when we draw this, since since we can't do guesswork here, instead what we do is we reverse engineer the point. Okay. So from this vanishing point, we draw something called the perspective grids, which are just lines that you extend outside from this, just straight lines. This you can do with the aid of a scale here. So these are just basic grid lines, and the straighter it is, the better. See, you just draw them straight. It is within this grid that you're going to be constructing anything. Let's say I want to draw a road onto this. What I need to do is I need to decide how wide a road is going to be from the place I start, from the end of this frame. And from then, within this grid, you just construct it. So these are, in fact, parallel elements. These are, in fact, parallel elements. Road, if you saw it from sky, it will look like this. Yet when you see it from where you're standing, you see it go this way. The key insight is they always end at this common point called the vanishing point. They always end here at this vanishing point. Similarly, let's consider we have a row of buildings here. Okay, a row of buildings. So a row of building that is just, like it's standing like a wall. Okay, a building block is just standing like a large wall here. It is this tall. It is this tall. It again moves towards this vanishing point like this. See, this tall. It again moves towards the vanishing point like this. Or I could consider a wall that is only this tall. That will, see, that will essentially move towards this vanishing point like this. You'd have a lot of questions now, but stay with me till the end. And I'm going to make all of these concepts very, very clear to you. Okay. How do I know what is this height? What is this height? Which is why you have the eye level. The eye level conventionally is measured as 1.6 meters, which is the average height of a man. 1.6 meters. So it is in relation to this that I measure everything. So that means if I am, let's say I am drawing, like that is shorter than me. This is how I would start from here and then it would go. See? And isn't this how you would see an element that is shorter than you? A wall block that is shorter than you, that is much smaller than you. Isn't this how you would see it? Right? Let's draw a block in perspective right now. How do you draw a block in perspective? See. I have a frame. I have set myself a frame. Onto this frame, I have a horizon line, okay, or my eye level. From this, I have a vanishing point. If I want to draw a block, I have to extend lines. These are your perspective grids. I can extend lines out of this. Block that I make, essentially, I need to decide how high it is. Let's say if it is a smaller block, I can decide, the length, the position in the frame, and then see where it goes. I can extend it all the way till the vanishing point. And see, I can complete this block. In this, the key thing to notice, the key insight to notice these parallel elements here. We have one parallel element here. You have it here. So do you have it here? All of these are parallel. Don't you agree? These three lines here are parallel to each other. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, these three lines are parallel to each other. Now notice this set of line. Another set of line that I mark with blue. How about this? Is this parallel to this red line? Is this line that I have marked with blue, is this parallel to the red line?
Yes.
Is it? This line and this, are they parallel?
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
No.
It's
How
the
is it?
job.
Red,
It's, I mean, see, just look at this block. If I viewed this block from the side, how would it look? See, I have viewed this block from the side. This isn't this how it would look? I'm talking about this and this.
no, no, no.
It's
Right.
a job.
They're not parallel. Okay. Yet if I had something like this. Okay. If I had something like this. This. These are parallel. These are the parallel elements. Notice how this one, when I see them in perspective, they recede towards a vanishing point. Now, is it necessary that everything I view, every block that I see in perspective has to go all the way till the vanishing point? No, not necessary. And a second instance of a block that I can draw could be, I decide the position from where I stop. I draw its face. Okay. From here, I can just stop here if I wish to. But that's it. But the only rule that I need to look into is they fit within the perspective grid. What happens is most often when we try to draw them randomly, we will just extend this a little longer and then we will adjust here. See, now this is a violation of the perspective rule, provided they are all parallel to each other. I mean, this is a violation of the perspective rule. I need to always start with the perspective grids and then fit my lines within those grids. This is how it needs to come when I view them in perspective. Okay. Or let's say, how would something look when I viewed it from above me? I can represent the face. You should try this. See, draw this bottom surface which fits within this perspective grid, and I can complete it here. That's it. I need not show anything on this side. It's fine. I'm not able to see it. Or a block here. How about a block here? See, fitting well within this perspective grid. We can extend more perspective lines here. See how this extends out. See, and then the bottom surface. For the bottom surface, I can extend from here. See how it goes till the vanishing point. Extend as far as I can, and here I can just cut it here. Let's try some more. Another set of blocks. Are you getting the gist of this?
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Let's try this. Yeah. Every perspective drawing when you're trying out now let's try something different. Let's try a street link. Okay, a street link. Firstly, you have the frame. This is called your picture plane or PP. On this picture plane, I can have a eye level that goes inside here. This is your eye level or horizon line. On this, I could have my vanishing point, VP. From this vanishing point, I need to extend lines outside, perspective grid lines, also just straight lines. This is the foundation to any drawing, any perspective drawing you make, be it inside a hall, inside a room, outside on the street, you're drawing a railway track, forest, boat, whatever it is, this is the foundation. And there is no limit to how dense you want to make it. See, the more of these perspective grids you draw, the more you can work with. Since everything that you draw, let's say I want to draw such a parallel routes here. The more of these grids that I have, I have the space for more of this route. See, here I'm drawing a strip of road within this. I'm drawing another strip of road within this. See, always this needs to fit within this. Another strip of road here. See this? And another. It's fitting within this frame of perspective. The only rule perhaps is if these are parallel, I need to just make them straight. So I can, like I can, with the scale or something, I can just see that it's drawn correctly. Provided they are all same, see? So here you have a zebra crossing, right? Let's draw some elements by the side here, okay? So this entire road, probably it can end here. And I'm pulling this all the way up till this one, the vanishing point. And here I want to draw a wall. I want to draw a wall here. This wall, provided this is 1.6 meters. Okay, at any stage, if you have a question, you can ask. The perspective is something that requires a lot of understanding. More than the hatching and inking that required you to sit with patiently, understand, trust the process and all of this. This is a whole lot of understanding, grasping. This doesn't require a lot of practice in the sense that you need to perfect your strokes or anything. Inking required it. This doesn't. This is about understanding. If you understood, you got it. It's like maths. You get it, you got it. It's for life. If not, no, more practice only going to worsen it. So let's say I have a wall here. And then this wall is much taller than I. See, this is how I can draw it. This wall I can either extend as I'm drawing here all the way till the vanishing point. Remember, guys, we see this view only when we have a very clear track. As I'm going to show in further examples, you will see how you can draw within a room where exactly you can't see the horizon. I mean, just stand inside a room and look. Unless you are living in such a location, you will not be able to, like either out of the window or inside the room, you're not going to see the entire horizon, right? You're just going to see a wall there. So not all the elements that you see are probably going to go all the way till the vanishing point. This is a scenario. This is a perfect scenario where in which you have everything clear in front of you. A wall that I draw can extend all the way till the vanishing point, or I could have a half wall here. See, See this? I could just end this here if this is all I want. If I want, I can place some divisions onto this. I can do that, no problem. Or let's say I want to draw a fence at its bottom. See, I can extend this here and I can show this here. I can do that. What if I want to extend something out from this? Okay, if I want to extend something out from this. See, you can push this out and probably a line here will always will come from this vanishing point here. And I can extend this. I'm just drawing a block here, placing the block here. See that? In this one, these sets of lines, there are parallel. See this line here, this line, all of them, they are parallel or meeting towards a vanishing point. And these lines that are non-parallel to this, let's show in blue. They don't meet at the vanishing point. All right, understood? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Let's again go back to our photo that we had looked and observe this in action. See, notice in this pillars, all the elements that are parallel, this pillar here, they are meeting at a common vanishing point. See? See? They're all meeting at a common vanishing point. All of them are parallel elements. Or look at this one. Look at this capital here. The column capital. See how they meet here. Or its pedestal. Notice. How they're meeting here. All right. So let's first understand this. The most simplest of perspectives thing we can understand. Or let's check out another image here. Or notice in this. Notice how the boat in this is in fact meeting towards a vanishing point. See, these are the parallel edges of a boat. See that? Or this one here. How they tend to meet. All the parallel elements. They might not exactly fit in unless it's a perfect block. Slight distortions will be there, but yet you can observe this here, right? Or let's look at something else. Notice how in this, the buildings, these parallel edges that I'm seeing, how it's meeting towards a vanishing point. So you just see how all of them extend. They all, in fact, meet at a common point. Appears to do so. So next time you observe one point perspective, you know what's going on. Okay. Now, let's observe another scenario. So you might be thinking, does always, the vanishing point have to come at the center? No, not the case. Perspective is all about how you see it. If you're looking straight onto it, the vanishing point is here. Let's say instead of looking straight onto this, I decide to look right or left. I decide to turn left or right, the same street if I'm looking right or left. How would the view be altered? This leads us to.
But before you start the next drawing, let's give them a small water break.
Water
It's
break.
almost half time. Let's give them a small water break. And while you guys are sipping your water bottles and recharging, I want to tell you, and I'm going to send you an official invite very soon. Tomorrow, nobody is allowed to miss the session because tomorrow is your official graduation ceremony. So you can give yourself a little clap on your head because you've finally completed your 8-week journey with us, which is actually 9 to 10 weeks because 1 week we did a break also. But you are now finally going to graduate from our academy. And even though it sounds very, I don't know, juvenile, but that is what art is. Art is supposed to take you back to your childhood and bring back the child inside you. So tomorrow is going to be a full annual day type of a ceremony where we are going to announce the prizes for the consistency award. Then so this time we do not have anyone who has attended all the sessions. This was I thought Fiona would make it, but since she missed it, that session is not there. But we have some.
We'll give the one to the most consistent.
Yeah, yesterday I was not there, no?
Yes, so the 100% attendance is.
Yeah, otherwise it's been regular.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but there are other awards we need to give, and there are a lot of announcements also. For example, what do you do after this workshop? How do you keep on? So the maintenance part of it also, we are going to explain you. How do you keep on going on this journey? What else can you do to become a better artist? Everything will be covered tomorrow. Last time we had people having tears in their eyes by the end of the journey. So I'm not over promising, but do attend it. Get your family members also tomorrow if possible, because it's a graduation ceremony. If you want your family and friends to see you graduate, definitely get there. I will be trying to give you your certificates tomorrow as well. Yes, I had announced it in the earlier. You'll be having a small certificate that you'll be able to post as well. So make sure you are there. It's on the same timing as well. And also after the graduation ceremony, ideally we should have distributed snacks, but since we can't do it online, we have another surprise for you. We are going to have an art competition. So now all of your progress, all this exemplary progress that you have shown around in this, Niranjan will be choosing for us a drawing that all of you would be attempting live, okay, here in this class itself. So we'll give you a time of something close to 1 hour or 1.5 hours, depending on the complexity of the drawing. And then we will be attempting it. And then there's a prize for the ones who do it the best. So, and all of you have to attend this because it's a test of basically all your principles. Everything that you have learned here, it's a test of that. You can suggest that what is it that you would like to draw in the art competition? Would it be a botanical figure? Do you want to draw a building? Do you want to attempt a floral? What do you want to attempt? That you can suggest. And we will look upon to it. So me and him are very emotional. Today morning, we were like seeing all your drawings from your Padlet. We were exploring right from the starting to the end, all the drawings that you've made, and we were very emotional because every batch that comes, we grow with them together. And this was a batch that is very special because the great art of the batch started with this. And also, I don't know if Niranjan has told you this, but this is the last batch a long time. So after this, we are changing the model and we are going to do more of 3-day workshops, 2-day workshops. But so it's very
the last batch.
Because we grow so close in these 8 weeks with all of you, and most of, I mean, there are Niranjan's B1, B2 batches who are still in touch with us. And I'm very sure even you all will be there. Shreya, Sonali, Fiona, at least all these regular people who are attending is there. Vanshika has become one of our biggest patrons. We love what she's doing with her art and also. It's going to be a last batch. We're going to be very emotional. So tomorrow, do attend it. Last time I was crying in the session and a lot of people are there too. And I'll drop you an official invite as well. No florals. I also expected because you'll want a more tougher challenge. Let's see. Let's see what Niranjan comes up with. No portraits also, I hope. I personally would love it if Niranjan gives a human body challenge because none of you have uploaded your human body figures on Padlet. I have been checking every day if you people done, so maybe a human figure competition. Let's see. We'll come up with an interesting one. But come up tomorrow, okay? And bring your children along, bring your husband, anyone. Just pass on the link to them. See you tomorrow.
Same 10 a.m. is it?
Yeah, same 10 a.m.
All right.
It's going to be like the annual day and all. Maybe Niranjan even performs for us. Who knows? Okay.
Yes.
How long?
You guys have your water bill. Let me also drink water.
And another thing I wanted to tell you, I would have told you this tomorrow also because I'm expecting more attendance tomorrow. After this ends, after this batch ends, we will be connecting with all of you individually. We will be having a one-on-one session with all of you individually to talk about your journey so far, how you have done, and to take in any of your doubts. Some of you have already won a one-on-one session with Niranjan. You will be able to schedule those sessions as well. Also, since you have already, everybody who becomes a part of our family gets discount on the next subsequent courses. You get a privilege discount. We will be talking the next courses that you can take now as well. We will be taking your feedback. For example, right now I found out that Sonali, Sujay both said no florals. So we know that, of course, an advanced course in florals you will not be interested in. So we will be asking you individually. For example, some of you might want to do portraits now. Some of you might want to learn more, more abstract drawings and all. So we'll get in touch with you. We'll give you slots and we will connect with you, describe your journey. And Niranjan will be giving each one of you an individual challenge, which will be slightly complicated. You will not be able to finish it in 2 hours or 3 hours, slightly bigger challenge. And that will be a conclusion of your batch 8. Sorry, of your batch 9. So we are still not over yet. The journey is not far, it's far from over. Okay. Already getting very
Vichari, what is the big picture?
This is the big picture. You'll be giving an art competition tomorrow. All of you will be drawing and the
Tuesday-
graduation ceremony.
Tuesday we'll be making a big picture of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the classics, one of the world classics we'll do in perspective.
Okay.
Okay. Chalo. Now I'm removing myself from spotlight. And you guys can continue. We will be soon though about this. So don't think that after tomorrow this journey ends and you can just say goodbye to us and done. We'll be bugging you for a long time after this also. You have seen Tanvi, etc., Ritika, they have been part for us for so long. It's very hard to get it. It's very addictive. And also you must be interested to know what next. What do you do after drawing all this? How do you keep more consistent? How do you practice more? All that will tell you. By the way, you can unmute me and tell me on the top of your mind, what would you ideally have liked to do after this? An advanced portrait class? I mean, not immediately, of course, I'm not expecting you all to do it immediately, but after this, what do you want to do? A portrait class? Or do you want to do an, I don't know, a landscape class? What is it that you want to learn more of it? Portraits. Okay. After last batch ke baad, Niranjan had done a special portrait class. He had chosen a selected people who he thought were up to mark and who would be able to carry on. And there was a beautiful class for it. Maybe this time also we do a portrait only. But this time there won't be any more live. We have discovered that live classes, although they are more fun and to do, but for students it's difficult to catch up and it creates a lot of pressure, especially now since all your college, schools, colleges and work is opening. Work from home is no longer that lucrative an option. We are going to go into a more recording format. And let's see. A recorded format, give you more ease at doing. As a we are going to plan. So all the best and see you tomorrow.
See you all. Don't miss out tomorrow. Okay, so we have this here. And now this brings us to scenario number 2. See, scenario number 2. Imagine onto a frame. Okay. Every time we talk about perspective, we need to think of it as what frame that you view. In this frame, in a frame, we have an eye level.
Niranjan, change the camera, no?
Camera angle. What's the wrong with camera angle?
No, we are not able to see the picture properly.
Now, I'm sorry, like I typically I have held it like I hold it typically, I don't understand.
Actually, you are on camera.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't
You
understand.
can focus more on the sheet.
Okay. I mean, keep it central, is it? Okay. Draw central is what you meant? On this,
Niranjan, we are seeing your face.
how is it possible? Because I have this on spot. I have this on spotted. Probably it's about the video you pinned. I mean,
Change
anyone
your
else is
view to go to your view and change it to speaker. You must be in the gallery mode and you must have
Must
pinned
be.
the wrong video. Go to your
Yes.
view. There must be a speaker option in it. Click on it. Only the screen will be visible. Have you been able to do it? Because from Niranjan spotlighted, I am seeing only his picture, only the drawing.
I have spotlighted the drawing video, probably because of the, you might have to change the view as I said. Okay. So on this, let's say I'm looking towards this right end here. Okay, I'm a person who's standing and I decide to look towards this. Instead of looking at this end, I'm looking towards this end. Then how would I see the same road? The same road which I would see like this when I saw it central. Okay, a road, mountain, sun. No, you can imagine someone running here like this. The same road, I would see it like this. See? So this could also be linear perspective, no problem. Doesn't always mean that it has to be at the center. So the wall could come like this. The same wall that we represent like this. It could come like this. Or similarly, if I am seeing onto this left hand here. See, the road could come this way. You get it? It's just about where I look. All right. So this is your scenario number 2. The third scenario that I am going to be talking about is perhaps the most important aspect of this perspective. I had previously told you that you can place these divisions of the wall or something. But is there a way that we can place this systematically? Let's say you notice a railway track, you see how toward this end they come closer, and as I go, as it comes towards me, there tends to be more and more space like this. Haven't you seen this? Is there a way I can scientifically represent this? And that's exactly what we are going to be learning in scenario number 3. So consider this. You have a floor. Okay, you have a floor onto which you have these, you want to represent this track like that of the railways. How do I do it? See, the basic condition to making such drawings is that they need to, all the elements that you place, they need to be equally spaced. You could be drawing street lamp, you could be drawing this, whatever it is that you're drawing, they need to be equally spaced. Okay, so you could have railway tracks, which are all parallel. You could have railway tracks which are all parallel, or you could have street lamps, which are all equally spaced. Or you could have floor tiles, which are all equal. This is a basic condition that all the elements that you're going to be drawing needs to be spaced equally. They need to be spaced equally. Okay, there's no compromising in that. Now, look at this. I am first starting, of course, with my drawing frame. Just setting a I have a frame here, and similar to what I had drawn, this one with the vanishing point, and I am laying out the perspective. Laying out the perspective, let's see. Now pay close attention here. We will first start by laying out sets of tracks, okay, railway tracks. So as I had previously mentioned, all of these are equally spaced. Okay, there's no questioning that. All of them, this is the basic assumption. The distance from this one, from this point A to point B to point C to point D, they are all equal. There's no questioning that. That's the basic assumption. So at any point, I can just decide on this 2 points. So I have this point A here and I have this point B here. And I'm going to start with this point A and point B. I can just draw this purely out of an assumption. Just I take this. Now the question is, how do I place all the rest of the other elements, provided they are all equally spaced? What we need to do here, okay, this is step-by-step instruction. Follow along. You have this center here. From here, you have this. And I have a line that I draw from this vanishing point center and that cuts this line. Okay, centrally and this centrally. I have something that cuts this centrally. Then I have this from here. I can cut this here. So now this is meeting at a particular point. This could be my point C. You can just extend this out.
How can we say that A is equal to B and B equals C? If we
That is the
join like-
assumption. That is the assumption, right? See, you need to understand that what we are drawing here, it's a representation of certain stuff. How can we see that? Because this is the, we are drawing this. We are drawing railway tracks and it is these rules we throw out of the window if they are not equidistant. Or let's say street lamps. See, what we are drawing is a perfect world here.
That's
in a
what they
perfect-
usually do, is it?
Right. That's how it is. In a perfect
Okay.
world,
Okay.
all of them are equally spaced. These lamps are
No,
all
no,
equally
equally
distant.
spaced is right, but taking that C point, that's how they do, is it?
That's
join
how it
from
is
one.
done.
Oh,
That's how it
okay.
is done. Okay.
Okay.
Let's try this. See, now what I need to do is I have this point that's cut. I have this here. So I have this line B and I have this line C. What I need to do is from this line B, I need to draw a line that I cut along this simply and then just extend it out. See where this goes. This becomes my, you can use a scale and you can draw this. This becomes my D line. Notice how the distance from C to D is less than that of from B to C. See this? Or let's try this. From here again, I need to cut it. I can draw. Here I have my line E. So just continue drawing along this pattern. It's the same thing from D to E. So if I want to get line F, what I need to do is I need to connect from the end of line D. I could connect from this end or from this end. It doesn't matter. To the center of this, which cuts like this, which slices like this, and I can just extend this out. So these lines needs to be straight, okay? If they are bent, then you will not get it right. Okay. See, just look at this from here again.
This is interesting.
Of course. See? Glad you feel so. See this? How eventually they become narrower and narrower without me forcibly making it. It's we just follow the same mathematical formula and they look very realistic until it meets at the
Niranjan?
Yes.
See, all this is when you're in the center of the frame.
Yes.
But you could be looking at the same corridor or whatever from
Mhm.
one corner,
From
from a corner.
a corner, yes.
From the, see, now you're possibly in the middle, right? Straight from the
Yes,
vanishing point.
straight I'm looking on.
Yeah, but what if you're looking at this corridor from, say, near A?
Okay, let's do that. Let's try that out. Very good question, Sujata. Let's try that. So here, let's explore that scenario. So I think this is very similar to the scenario that I had. It is the same scenario that I had pointed out. Scenario 2 that I had pointed out a while back, isn't it? So I have a frame here, and you're talking about when one decides to look from this end to this end. So we're talking about,
Yeah, that's what I meant. If you see from a different point of view.
we're talking about this,
Yeah.
right? We can use the same method, only the vanishing point shifts here. Let's try that, okay? I have a point A and a point B. See, we need to understand that the point A and point B, we just take an arbitrary measurement. We just take an arbitrary measurement. And you can place it wider, because we need to understand that as we go narrower and narrower, as we go further and further, it's going to become very narrow. So if we place this very close and there is no space. So this one, you can space it wide. You can give a good amount of space between your, let's now name it line 1 and line 2. Between your line 1 and line 2, that is fine. This and this, we just take it arbitrary. We just take it arbitrary because it is with respect to this that everything else comes. Do you understand? The reason I take it arbitrary is because it is with regards to this that everything becomes narrower and narrower. So it's an origin point and it's fine. You can just like take it whatever you want. Then from here you have a vanishing point. Okay. At any stage, if you have a question, please ask. From the center, now what we need to do is notice the center of this. This is very important. Okay. You draw a line that connects the vanishing point to the center of line 2 to the center of line 1.
Is there any name given to that line?
This line, no.
As that is
It's just a construction line. Like a grid, like the perspective grid that we did. It is merely a construction line. Bas.
Okay.
Nothing. Okay. Merely a construction line. See, in fact, when we draw this, notice, I don't even draw them with pen. You should not draw them with pen. These are construction lines with pencil, and after this, you just erase them. Okay. So you should not draw them with pen. These are just, like mere. This one here. All right. So I connect this to this. Then from here, what I can do is I need to take the end of line 1 to the center of this line. To the center, I mean that connects this vanishing point, this line, and draw a construction line that goes here. And the point that I get is, you guessed it, line 3. From here again, use a scale. For this one, I would recommend having a scale because it just helps you get your line straight. Once you become very good at it, you can let go of the scale and you'll be able to. Now when I draw perspective, I just assume I don't need to make so many construction lines. Based off a general assumption, if I just draw, I'll be getting it 90% correct. So that's after you have a lot of practice, because otherwise, when you start to use a scale, use this method, follow it step by step, and also you will initially find it a little confusing. You will think how to do this, how to do that, but it's just like mathematics, right? You understand the principles and then you practice them a little so that it becomes hardwired into you. Then it's just a certain process. You don't have to buy heart, you just do it. Okay. From here again, see, you connect from this end to this end, or I could just connect from this end to this end. Either ways, it doesn't matter. So if I want to get line 4, what I need to do is I need to draw a line that comes from the edge of line 2 connecting to the center of line 3 and again line 4. Get it? One of the most common errors that you are going to try and make is you will try connecting. You will try drawing a line from here. You'll try drawing a line from here, but then you have no reference point. You don't do that. Instead, you draw from here and then connect the center. Because it's something that I've observed where a lot of people get confused. And then you draw this and then you have it. And then you can darken all the lines you want. Yes, Sujata, I hope that helped clear your doubt.
Thanks.
Welcome. See, similarly, just as you drew this, you can try and draw what you say street lamps. Let's try street lamps. Instead of this, let's try street lamps. Okay. So in this one, the lines that you choose to focus on are going to be different. Basics. So we'll start with the road that we lay here, going all the way to the vanishing point. A road. And I can start with the first lamp that comes here on this end. Arbitrary, I decide the second lamp. See, a first lamp can start from here or from here anywhere, but I am choosing to start from here to just keep it simpler for you, okay? Arbitrary measurements again. As for the third lamp, I need to draw. Just as you drew this, similarly, I'm just drawing it, the vertical version of it. See, just connect this, go from the center. Always you need to understand that when you draw this, you need to mark the center. And then you cut it. From here, you just erase the next one. These you can draw with scale. And again, okay, draw this. These could be flagpoles, these could be this. You can combine railway tracks with this. See how you can construct. Where all you could apply. These could be parallel rows of windows. These could be doors.
I have a question here. It's perspective necessarily needs to be drawn with a scale, right? Freehand perspective will not bring out the same effect.
See, perspectives, when you draw with scale, it's all about the accuracy because small change can make a huge difference. You would have understood that by now. A small change can make a huge difference. Now, when you have a scale, it's easier to get that level of precision and accuracy. Without a scale, freehand sketching, see, urban sketching is mostly done freehand. Very few urban sketches, in fact, carry scale, yet they are able to get perspective. So you can, but it
So
requires
urban
that
sketches
kind of.
don't use scale when they are doing architectural drawings. When urban people do, they don't use this scale for perspective. You can do it and you will get an effect. Like
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
asking for a basic. You can do it without scale, right?
For anyone who's starting out, you need to develop. See, the thing is, more than the position, you will develop a sense of intuitive sense of what looks right. It's like cooking now. You'll develop an intuitive sense of what feels right, how much spice to add, how much
Right.
salt to add. Like that, you will know where to place the lines so that this looks right. When you're first starting out, see, when you're first starting out, a person who's just starting out on perspective, now you know that this needs to always follow this. So no matter what you do, this needs to go this way. A person who's just starting out might in fact place it this way. Not that this is wrong, but provided they're all posts of the same height, then this is wrong. You understand? So think of where all you could place this. You could place this on parallel rows of windows, on strips, on fence, anything where the condition is that all these elements are parallel and equidistant. Okay, only then this rule works. Let's try drawing floor tiles. This is another interesting example. Let's try drawing floor tiles. Center, vanishing point. From this, I just extend my lines out. This perspective grid, I just need to extend them out. See, when you're talking about floor tiles, I am talking about, although there exist tiles of many different nature, what I am talking about is a basic square tiles where it's all the same, basic square tiles. This is all I'm talking about. So we can start by placing these elements here. See, I have this much space and all of these elements needs to be equal measurement. Let's say they're 60 centimeters. Okay, 60 centimeter tiles. So I can divide this into probably 4 divisions. So let's measure how much this is. Close to 12. So 6, 3, 9. Okay. I have this. From here, these lines, of course, you know, they extend all the way till the vanishing point and they are straight lines. That needs no explanation. from here, I can place my next set of lines. See, when you draw the next set of line, kind of make it seem like it's a square. Okay, so imagine I place this line here, then it seems like a very narrow rectangle. So this doesn't look right. This is what I was talking about, intuition. So approximately, like how much this is, kind of approximated. Let's see how long this is. This is close to 3 centimeters. So here as well, I can place it close to 3 centimeters, 3, 2.8, somewhere along that region. And I can make this seem like a square sets. All right. Are we clear till now? Yes. Are we clear till now?
Yes, yes.
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 This already looks realistic. Next, just as we had learned before, I can pick any point from here. Ideally, it's wisest to just pick the ends you can connect. So I can just use, I have a reference point here. So I have this as line 1. This is my line 2. Just pick this. This acts as the center for this region. And I can connect a line. I can draw a connective line going from here. You mark this, and what you are getting is line 3. You just expand this. There. Getting is line 3. Just expand this, and there you go. Yes. So just let's do that again. That's simple. From here you go. You extend this. Make sure that from the line 2, you draw a line that cuts line 3. You extend it and you extend that further. Realistic enough. Now I can shade this with whatever tones I like. Black, white. See? Since they are all equally spaced, since they are all put together in a very symmetric fashion, it's very easy for me to lay down. You can draw. Now you might wonder, how can I draw tiles that are placed, like not so systematically. Guys, you can draw anything using these rules. Anything is possible. Just that as there is more chaos and disorder, there is more complexity in the drawing. Like if you're drawing everything that is just blocks, everything that's very blocky, it's very easy. Or if you're drawing a gaudy building, it becomes super complex to just think of it and visualize it and draw it in perspective. Yet the rule of perspective is universal and it applies to it everywhere. Okay. Could you get this tiles here? Could you get the set of tiles here?
Yes, yes, yes.
And correctly, right? You're able to get it. So this is a very important rule in this linear perspective. Now, as I had mentioned before, not every time your lines always needs to meet to the vanishing point. Let's say you're drawing a closed room, okay? This is something that we see, this scenario we see every day, like inside a room. You're standing inside a room and it has this black and white tiles. So here we are placing the vanishing point here. Let's understand that a room, a closed room, the lines always don't go all the way to here. You could have a wall that comes here. Okay, you could have a wall that comes here. A wall that comes, and this could be a floor. See? A wall and a floor. So now this is a closed room. I could place a window here, a strip of window here, which leads me to a view outside to the vanishing point. That's fine. Yet the tiles are at place. It will be constrained within this. Understand? So all the rules that I had mentioned earlier, I can do this here. Only it will be constrained within this. It's the same rule, same set of rules, the same procedure. Yet it will be constrained within the rule. So when I talk about perspectives, most often we practice perspectives with vanishing point. But even anything that you see is perspective. Your living room, kitchen, dining, anything you see, you will now start observing vanishing points, parallel lines. You start projecting them on, and then you'll start seeing them. Okay. So guys, take another water break because we are not done yet. There is there is still little more on perspectives that I want to share with you.
So only 1 point perspective will be covering, is that
Yes.
for the perspective session?
Yes, it's 1 point perspective.
Okay. Fine.
Even in this, you see there's a lot.
Yeah,
We had
but
actually
very interesting though.
last classes, we had
Super
tried
interesting.
2-point and 3-point perspective, but what in the end happened, none of them got either of it, because when Niranjan
That is
did
there.
the big
Yeah.
challenge, none of them were able to even identify the perspective, leave alone attempt it. We did a lot of temples, and also we thought, let's not give them, I mean, abhi agar abhi tell you, you'll find it very fascinating, but then later you won't be able to implement it, which is why we changed it this time. Let's get people to understand only. See, even in first point, there are so many variations.
So many scenarios, right? Just
Yeah.
like-
In fact, this time, Niranjan, the module is completely changed. When I did it with you in B8, I had a little trouble catching up with it, even though they were the same, these ones that we did. But this time you changed the module a bit. This time it's very, very clear. I think I'll tell Tanvi to attend this session again. She had asked me about the perspective.
Perspectives.
Changed it a lot, and this is kafi acha this time. I was taking notes only. Nice.
And the thing, I mean, as it becomes, like collecting the feedbacks, I get a better understanding of what works, what doesn't work. So my effort is on simplifying, making it very, very simple and sharing it in a way that's most easiest digestible. Less of theory, more of drawing. In fact, moving forward, I am considering cutting off the theory part completely off. Of course, with the art fun facts we could have. But apart from that, even on the Saturday session, I am considering teaching it with respect to making a drawing. So rather than just teaching how to make a texture like this, oh, this is for this is this, we will actually make a drawing and we will learn. With that drawing, we'll learn the basics, the foundation, the lines. We will make a drawing and we will learn. Moving forward, that is how I'm considering teaching. It's a challenge for me, but I'll see. I mean, always up for experiments.
Draw and study.
Draw and study. I mean, pure drawing, starting from see. Okay, so it's very interesting. There are two kinds of ways that we can learn swimming. One is you learn everything about the body's dynamics, the movement, you do this, and then like you become completely prepared, the mindset, and then you slowly jump into the water. Second is you throw the person onto the water and then you ask him to come. If you drown, I will save you, but you just try. Fun fact, in the second method, people learn faster. People learn faster than ever for life.
No spoon feeding.
Right.
Right.
So I'm trying to explore the second method. First method, coffee, I've tried a lot. So second method, I'm going to try. Have your water break and we'll be continuing with this rest of the session. Hey, so you guys ready? Let's continue. Okay. Yes, ready. Waiting for your responses.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So now there's a problem with what we've done so far. See, in this rule, okay, this is perhaps the most important rule, what we just learned about crossing the lines and connecting. We can use this to draw most of what we see in perspectives, street lamps, railway tracks, sets of fences, anything, lot of stuff that we see. There's a big problem with this. We can only draw elements that are all equally spaced. Consider a building. You're drawing a long corridor, a building, a classroom corridor with a wall, windows, glasses, doors, and everything. If you try drawing windows and doors in this room, what you're going to end up is, okay, so let's just ignore the windows altogether. You are just drawing sets of doors. Drawing sets of doors. Let's try that with what we just learned. See how it comes out. So what had we learned? We have a We have a picture frame here. And not to represent the corridor, it makes more sense for me to draw this, set this vanishing point towards the end here, okay? So I will do that. I'm drawing a long board. So I could just cut it short here. Now with what we learned, if we try drawing. So I place my, let's say I have a door here. I have a door here. So the upper limit of my door will be here and all of them will follow this line, right? All my doors, considering they are all of the equal height, this is how I will start. I can place my first door here. This is my first reference point. So this is my line 1 and this becomes my line 2. And based on what we learned, let me take the mid of this. Let me take the mid of this. Okay, so 10. And consider this, cutting this, and you draw this. Again, consider cutting this, and you draw this.
Excuse me, sir, can you explain how did you, once
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
please?
Oh, it's the same thing that we just learned about drawing the railway tracks. Okay,
Okay,
see,
the first frame
yeah,
we did,
yeah,
then
the
how did
same
we
street
do?
lamp, railway tracks that we did. I'm just showing you
Okay.
that. See, now what's happening is if these were doors, you quickly notice a problem with this, that my door and my walls, now all of them are equally spaced. But is this how it's constructed? Are these how corridors are constructed? No, right? You imagine a long corridor. The space between the doors, okay, the wall between the door will be wider than those of the doors, isn't it? Yes or no? I need your interaction for this. Make sure we are on the same page. Yes or no? When you're seeing a corridor, the spacing between the doors. I have a door number 1 here and I have a door number 2 here. The spacing between these doors will be wider than that of the doors. Most often. Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Right. A door is only 1 meter wide, 90 centimeter wide. So most often when I see a corridor like this, I'm drawing the side view here. This is how it looks. I'm just drawing a front view of this, a front section view. I could have a door, it could be an arched door, it could be this. See, this is how it is mostly, right? The spacing will be wider than this. If this is X distance, this will be Y distance. X,
Because wall has to come.
right?
Yeah.
But based on what we learned, what we end up creating is this. It's very restrictive. See, based on what we had learned, what we end up creating is that the space between the wall and this is the same. We don't want this. We want to create this also. So we need to understand that we have 2 sets of distances here. Okay, I want you to pay careful attention to this. That we have 2 sets of distances here. I have one set of distance, which is the between this door and I have second set of distance, which is between this. Two sets of distances I have. When I represent, I will have to represent both distance 1 and distance 2, or distance x and distance y. So just as we had a single set of line, here we need to work with two sets of lines. Let me show you how. Let me draw this. These are basics. Is this and it's just an extension of the previous scenario that we learned. That's another special case scenario of this. Okay, so I'm sorry. This could also be my vanishing point, no problem. From here, I'm just drawing a lengthy wall that just goes from this to this, a very lengthy wall. Okay. The diagrams that we place in when we learn perspectives, most of them are like, like these are most often stuff that we don't see every time, but it's easier to understand perspective like this. So I have a very lengthy wall here. Now, as I want to draw this, as I place doors in between this, just as we had previously taken one set of arbitrary measurement for the tracks, for this one, we are going to have two sets of arbitrary measurements. For instance, let's say I don't know, I'm placing deciding the upper limit of the door. Okay. Or okay, forget about the whole door part. I just want to place some vertical divisions on this. Let me simplify it even more. I just want to place some vertical floatings or divisions on this. Okay, I have this. I have decided an arbitrary distance for this. Let's just name it X. Here I can place another set of arbitrary distance in between this. This I could name it Y. So I have two sets of distances. Now, the next distance, the next line that I place will be this. Yes or no? Will be this,
X.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is what it's going to be. Now, based on the previous rule we had learned, I told you to cross over from here to here. Okay, you have the line that goes from the vanishing point, which is the crossover from here to here, and you will get it. But what's happening here is that when you draw in that manner, you are going to get equivalent of this Y here. Okay, when you cross over like this, you're going to get the equivalent of this here. Instead, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be crossing over from this to from this. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This is how I need to go. This is the way that I need to go. This is the way that I need to go. Let me explain it all over again. See, this is the arbitrary measurement that this is the reference measurement that I take, that I decide first. I also need to go with the second set here. Okay, I need to decide this one. Just as for the first case scenario, I had one set of lines. Here I will need to have two sets of lines because it is with respect to this that it's with respect to both of this that everything else is going to change. Okay, with respect to this that everything else is going to change. So I have this here. From here, I will need to take the equivalent of this. I will need to take the equivalent of this, which is this. And I will have to draw a line that connects both of them. That is when I get my next division. Similarly, I have this. So I have this line and I have the equivalent of this line. I cut this and I get this. Similarly, I have this line and the equivalent of this. I will need to cut it and I get this.
Alternate lines you need to cut, right?
Yes, you will need to cut alternate lines. Too complicated, let me explain it again for you. Let me explain both of them again for you. This part deserves explaining twice. See, let's understand the basic principle we are applying here. The basic principle that we are applying here is for the previous one that we had learned, what I have taken is, I have taken one set, okay, one arbitrary measurement that I have taken. Based of this arbitrary measurement, from this I am deriving everything. Okay, I derive one set. From here I derive the next, and this is the way that we keep going on. I have a set from which I have derived everything. Similarly, here as we have two sets, we will need to have two sets of separate of these sets laid out. Okay, so it is just that I have one line, I have all of these lines, all these tile lines here. I have one line which equidistant of which I have the second line. Now from here I'm deriving everything else. Third line I derive from this, fourth line I derive from this. So just this, that all of them are equally spaced. Here what's happening is, instead of lines, I'm actually drawing an element here. So what's happening is, instead of these lines, I need to think of them as elements. So I have one element here, then second element here. So instead of just arbitrarily placing lines, I'm arbitrarily placing the elements here. Okay, and then based on this element, I just extend and then I decide to draw. What's this again? So here I will draw fence in between. Okay, have a vanishing point here and I have this. See, I place one element here, and like a stick here, I have placed one element here. Secondly, I have placed a second element here. Now, based on this, everything else is going to come. Instead of thinking of them as this one, instead of thinking of them as this one single thing, I am thinking of them as what you say, individual elements. Okay, I'm thinking of them as individual elements. So, and I have two sets of lines. So I have my first, set of line here, and I have my second set of line here. I need to connect the center of them, and then from this first set I cross over and I get the equivalent of that. Similarly, from the second set as well, I cross over. See, I cross over this and this, and I have the equivalent of that. See, simple.
These colored pencils help actually.
Colored pencil, colored
Yeah.
pens are needed.
The
for this.
joining of those two red.
Yes,
Yeah.
otherwise it becomes very confusing. See, join the equivalent of these. And then you have the third line. Join the equivalent of them. And you have this. You will need to isolate. When you're joining the first, you will need to ignore the second one and so forth. Understand? You might want to watch this, rewatch this recording again, because like I told you, it's a certain knack. Once you understand it, it's easy. See, this is very different from scenario in which everything is equally spaced. In the first scenario, we learned this, the sticks, the fence, as well as the space between them are all equal. The width of them, as well as the spacing, everything is equal. Here, this is much more freer and this is much more realistic. Instead of just these, this singular lines, everything we see is in 3D and we see this. And when I want to place windows, when I want to place doors, everything is derived of this. This is it. One final scenario that we are learning. This is about curved paths, winding paths. What about roads that curve? How do you understand roads that curve? Even they come in perspective. Let's say you're going across a large winding path here. Okay, so you're taking a houseboat. You come to Kerala and you take a houseboat. And you see this. You see the river go like this. Or you take a walk across the forest and you see curved paths. See, even they come in perspective. Right? So how do I understand that? Let's look into this. So we start off in the similar fashion. Okay. Start off in a similar fashion. And this requires you to, okay, so I will place it in a vertical manner. So it becomes easier for me to explain. When I draw this, this requires a lot of your intuitive sense of understanding here. Let me place the vanishing point and the horizon line up a little above so I get a little more space here. This requires a lot of your intuitive understanding. Let's say start from a point A here. When I start walking from point A and I start going, I am looking towards a particular destination. See, in roads that curve, when you see it from the top, they could all be parallelly placed roads. When you're seeing it from the top, I'm just showing you how they look. They could be like this. They could be like this. So when I am starting from a point source A and I walk, I'm looking towards a particular point until I reach my destination, looking towards a particular point, and then this becomes my path and perspective. So I start my journey. I start walking and I have reached point and I have reached point B. Once I reach point B, I take a turn. This is a basic anatomy of a curved path. I take point And I can go from point B all the way here. So I could again walk like this. In this case, when I look, my vanishing point will shift towards here. In the first scenario, my vanishing point, since perspectives is all about where I look, my vanishing point will change as I change my view. This will require you to think a little. Okay, it's not always stationary, like on the go it could move. I could reach point C. From point C, I turn again, and then this is my destination. D is my destination. And now this is the path. This is the final path. So just curve it up a little bit. And what happens is, provided these roads are all parallel lane, you get a beautiful curved path. This D could be here, it could be here, it could be anywhere, or maybe this could just go all the way here and that could be the D. It is just that on the go, your viewpoint shifts, and according to your viewpoint, so does your vanishing point. At the end of the day, vanishing point, one image can have multiple vanishing points, which is the main principle in 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective. Look into all of this. With this, you have a very strong foundation in perspectives. Trust me, guys, I have seen all over every possible available tutorial available on perspectives and everything, and nowhere I have found all this information condensed in one pack, nowhere, and you will not be able to find it as well. So look into it, and you have a very strong foundation now with this. You might want to view this recording again. You want to see this, you might want to see the entire sets of recordings again, and eventually, this is the key to creating 3-dimensional thing. You combine perspectives. We started our journey with creating a basic form. You started with the basic strokes. You started with basic expressions, the waves, the strokes. Then you moved on to creating forms. You created beautiful forms. From the forms, we learned how to add light and depth. Then we learned how to create textures. We explored different aspects of textures, architecture texture, floral texture. We did all of this. We learned to add in beautiful little human beings in this. And onto all of this, you put in perspective. So combine this perspectives, combine your knowledge of light and shade with form, all of them. Add in beautiful textures, and you have the key to stunning drawings in your hand. You can make literally anything now, anything. So that's with today's session of perspectives, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me ask you questions.
Niranjan, when we, we put a spoon into a glass of water. So are we looking at that also in a perspective?
Everything, anything
Right.
you see in front of you, see in perspective. What I understand your question, Fiona, what you're asking is about the distortion. The distortion.
Yeah, distortion. Yeah.
Perspective
Yes.
distortion is what you're asking about.
Yeah.
The perspective distortion becomes more obvious as the element becomes lengthier and you're seeing it at a distance. A bottle. Let me show you an example.
Yeah.
Of something.
And even with different medium, right?
Let me show you. We are talking about a bottle that I'm seeing here. Okay, a bottle. So a bottle, when seen in perspective, when you are straight looking flat onto it, you don't see any perspective. I'm just laying a bottle down here, and this is the cap, this is the bottom. Here there's no perspective distortion. Consider the same, and this is when you're looking at it from the top. Consider you're looking at it from this edge here. Then how would this look? You have the bottom edge here. You have this bottle that's going here, and then you have the sea. Now you can clearly see the perspective distortion, isn't it?
Yes.
It is the bottle. So it's about how you view
Yeah.
it.
Eye level and yeah.
Right. It's all about the eye level. Here the eye level is on the top. Here the eye level is to the side.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything you see in front of you, you see it in perspective. There's no escaping. You see it, and depending on how you look at it, depending on the element you're looking at it, you either see it in 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point perspective. In addition to it, there is a 4 point perspective also, which I have thought, fish eye view, all of that. I mean, let's not even get into that. It's a combination of different stuff. Try it out, and know. Everything else is derived from this.
Niranjan,
Ready? Yes.
Jata here. See, these are all like, you're looking at all eye level from a like a standing eye level perspective, right?
Yes.
Like if I'm standing on a hillock,
Hillock.
like say the Hampi temple, right?
Yeah.
I will be looking at from a hillock and I'm looking at it down.
Then
Uh,
my eye level would go down. Same rules, my eye level would go down. Let me show you an example of that. See, I had in fact made a drawing from top of the Hampi temple. From Hampi, in fact, where I'm looking down at the temple from a hillock. There, here's a drawing. Do you see the perspective in this?
so in this, where would the vanishing point be? It need not be in the center, right? Again.
Yeah. See, that is the thing.
Looking at.
It's not always at the center. The horizon line is not always at the center. It depends upon how I look at it. It's all upon how I look at it. Most often it comes at the center. Most often it comes at the center. See, do you see the horizon line here? Do you see this? Do you see the perspective that's going here? You can see the perspective that comes here. So if you look closely into it, you can see the perspective here. You can see all of that, right?
How long did it take you to draw this?
Oh, see, my time, if I say it's huge, because I did not have me to teach me how to draw it, right? I was figuring out how to learn, how to draw. I was figuring out how to add in those details on the go. So I took a very long time. A lot of my drawings in this book is as long as 80 hours, 90 hours. Yeah, like that 100 hours. That's because I was figuring out how to do. Now it need not take that long, in fact. But
No,
it's
the
a nice
reason
thing to
I
say.
asked is sometimes if you want to sketch on the spot, you can't go into such details there, right?
Unless you plan ahead, you camp there. I mean, back then, how did the artists draw? Back then, during the time of Renaissance, how did the artists draw? They camped there, right? At a particular time, it's like how you work at an office. You work at a particular shift in that time and you bear the elements and you draw. Now, maximum, what you say, standing live 40 minutes. Even that, I can't imagine myself standing and drawing 40 minutes maximum. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And not, of course, I would love that. I would love to sit in front of the Himalayas, a beautiful view, gorgeous view in front of the Himalayas, sit there and draw it live. It's a very noble thing, and I want to document the entire process and make a film out of it. It's certainly there upon my bucket list.
Okay.
So yes, what more questions?
Niranjan, Shreya, I had a question. You had mentioned that there are also times when there are two vanishing points.
Huh.
So could you give an example of those two vanishing points?
Two vanishing points. Okay. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Two trains, one going, one coming on a parallel. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yes. Please wait, Shreya.
Corner house.
What? Sorry.
Corner house.
Corner house. Wait. Let me show you. Let me actually show you a photo. Trying to find it. I had all of them in my older system. Now with my system is a complete one, and I don't have any of my photos that I had kept on stock. I'll try. Wait. Yes, I found them. Okay. So the answer to your question, what you're asking about is what you're asking about is 2-point perspective, Shreya. Let me give you a gist into what 2-point perspective is. See, let's look into this. Okay, this beautiful photo. Where all, Shreya, can you find the vanishing point? Is it true that I can find a vanishing point?
One to the left and
One
one
to
to
the
the
left?
right.
Yes, this is 2-point perspective in a nutshell. All the same rules of 1-point perspective apply here. Only that you're working
Twice
with,
as much.
yes, 2 vanishing points and 1 to the left and 1 to the right. In 3-point perspective, you'll also have vanishing point towards the top. Same rules to the top or to the bottom, depending on it. I mean, if it's a worm's eye view, you see it on the top. If it's a bird's eye view, at the bottom. See this one, and this I'll represent with a different color. This is how it would look. In 2-point perspective, what we need to see is that, I mean, we see everything from the corner. We see everything from the corner. So that's how it is. Okay.
So here the vanishing point is outside the frame.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I had not explained that. Okay. See, in linear perspective, it doesn't occur all the time. So I had not considered that. But most often what we see is, when you're talking about perspective, most often than not, the vanishing point extends outside of the frame. So let me show you another example. Let's look at this one. In linear perspective, we don't always see. That's why I had not considered it. Okay, so look at this. See, notice the vanishing point in this. If I try drawing the vanishing point here, Sujata, see how they extend well outside of the frame. See?
Yeah.
So what we need to understand here is that this unless we are working with the super wide frame, most often, see, we are only seeing a small portion of it. We are only seeing a very small portion of the frame here in a photo, in a photography. Most often our eyes can extend well beyond the frame in which we have limited ourselves. Most often these vanishing points, they exist outside of the frame. So when you see artists make a perspective drawing, you see that outside of the paper in which they draw, they stick newspapers, and then they extend these lines outside from the paper onto the newspaper so that they can actually get the vanishing point, they can project it out. Let me show that to you. Let me draw and show that to you.
Even though the vanishing point is out of the frame,
Hmm?
you can do with the horizon and then
I will show you.
think of the imaginary vanishing points and then draw, right?
I will show. Let me clear up the confusion for you. Okay, see, look into this. On this paper here, my frame will rather be very small. Okay, I have a small frame. Now, I'm drawing a road here. Most often, its vanishing point could extend outside of this. So when I draw it, most often it extends outside. So when I draw them, what I need to do is, I will most often have to set the point outside of this, and then I will have to extend the lines from there. Yet it could come inside this. See, when you're seeing, since what we dealt with this linear perspective, most often the linear perspective photographs, if you see, they come at the center, and this doesn't happen. This is there mostly for 2-point perspectives. When you're drawing 2-point perspectives, we said one vanishing point outside, another vanishing point outside, and then the rest of the line is imaginary. You have to extend from there, and then these lines come solid onto the paper. Most often this is the case. But let's just understand that when you're seeing outside of it, when you're looking outside, when you're looking towards a corner or something, we see that we notice that the vanishing point could come outside of it. What happens if I try restricting everything within the frame? What I'm going to end up with, I'll show you. If I try restricting everything within the frame, in especially a 2-point perspective, what I'm going to end up is all my forms will be very restrictive. It'll see, this looks abnormally narrow, right? How often do we actually see like this? When we see this, when we see perspective, when I see in perspective, it isn't as distorted. Most often when you see something in perspective, this is all you see. It's hardly detectable. This is how we mostly see. It's not like this that we see. This is huge, what you say, exaggeration. Most often this is how we see. Okay. And how do I draw the vanishing point for this? They can't exist here. If you try existing here, they will again be very restrictive. So you'll have to restrict it here. They will be very restrictive. No, that can't happen. Instead, what we do is need to go here and here. This is how it is, BP. Get it? Similarly, these could come here and here. So it is. So yes, to answer your question, vanishing point can exist outside of the frame, and most often they will. But of course, for 2-point and 3-point perspective, especially in 3-point perspectives, it will exist way outside of the frame. What else?
When did you start?
When did I?
When did you start doing these pen illustrations?
Oh, I started in college, during my college time. During my college time is when I started, and it was during the mid of college that I became so intense into this that I started bunking classes in order to just make drawings, much to the disappointment of my parents. To try it out, I mean, everything that we've learned is, yet let's understand that a lot of what we learned is only an introduction. We've touched upon everything. It's all about how you do, how much you try more and more and more. And these techniques we've learned are not just restrictive, to pens. You can apply them with color pencils. Strokes are the foundation to everything. You can apply these strokes with color pencils, gel pens, ball pens. Oh, okay, forget about pens altogether. A regular graphite pencil. You can try them with charcoal. Why not? At the end of the day, it's all about strokes, right? It's a harder approach to drawing, like stroke, stroke, stroke. Otherwise, what we typically associate with drawing is a softer approach, like, like you're just applying the graphite like this and you create smudges. People use fingers, they do all kinds of stuff, right? They lick and then they apply their fingers, all kinds of things. Here it's about giving this. The advantage of doing this is it gives a very solid underpainting, and if done well, it looks very intricate as compared to this, because it's very easy. I mean, you can even imagine a child doing the other smudging method. This, it will look very intricate, like very eye-catching. So since people haven't seen this much, they call this as more professional than the other one. Okay. So you guys have fun?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
yes, a lot of fun. This was a lot of formula applying also, and brought the geometry classes memory back, which was actually quite fun to find new angles.
I understand that feeling. I hope it didn't bring the traumatic memories of your maths teacher. So
Oh no, thankfully not. Just the happy
Yeah.
moments. Just the happy moments.
it was fun. It's fun for me as well. Anyway, so you're ready for the drawing competition tomorrow, right? Let's do it. Let's do it, and do attend. Do attend.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Okay, don't come that, oh, it might be very tough and we have to do it. It's an application of everything that you have learned so far. Don't you want to see yourself if you can now make a drawing from scratch using everything we've learned? Light and shade, contouring, simple shapes, your textures, everything. You want to see an application, right? It's not, anyways, here we are not judging anyone or anyone. We are all growing together. So do come and participate in the competition. In fact, why don't you get your friends and all to participate as well? They might just have fun. If you have a friend or a relative who you want to bring on, who's very much into art, they can attend your orientation ceremony, see you graduate and draw with you. You can you can start a new hobby together. Last batch, we had these two friends who came together in the session. They met online and joined our session. And towards the end, they became like BFFs and all that, a whole friendship revelation through art. So come on. All right.
Come on, go and continue.
Sounds like a good idea. I have a couple of my friends around, so definitely.
Absolutely.
Super.
Show them off how good you can, what magic you can do with your pens. And Shreya, I am no longer seeing your Inktober and drawings. I'm looking forward to them. Where are they?
Yeah, I got stuck